Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640. We are live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. Feel like it's Romper Room. I see Stefan. I see Mark. I see Tuwala. I see Stefan, and I didn't get to see you yesterday, Stefan. I hope all is well. It's nice to have you back, sir.
Good to be back, sir.
The team, the band is all back together. And I have to say, for as much as we talk about the negative aspects of California, for as much as we complain about the cost of living or the natural disasters, the droughts, the rain, or the fires that we complain about, I mean, it's actually a luxury to complain if you didn't lose everything like the fires. But for as much as we complain, today really struck me because driving in, I was noticing we are in the dead of winter. And to be anywhere, just about anywhere else in the country, it'd be 4 degrees. Snow, sleet, wind chill. It's like maybe 75 today. And if I'm not mistaken, listening to Mark Ronner, it's going to be like 80 degrees tomorrow.
A little premature with that today, aren't you?
Not at all. I'm just saying we can talk about the weather and the fact that it's going to be fantastic, at least tomorrow. Yeah, you said something about possibly rain on Friday moving into the weekend. But as far as I can see, nothing but blue skies.
I like your attitude. I mean, I don't share your attitude, but I like it.
What? It wasn't a beautiful day?
No, today was nice. It's going to be cloudy tomorrow, and then we've got an increasing chance of some moisture starting on Friday and lasting until at least Wednesday, as far as I can see.
Okay, I would rather it be that than living in some other quadrant of the country where it's 4 degrees. And I took real notice of it today because driving in, we're at the end of February. It's the heart of winter, whatever you want to call it. We're deep in the season, and it's a good 75 degrees outside. And I remember that's why I pay so much for living here, because it may be nice in Texas, but it's also cold in Texas right about now. It may be more inexpensive to live in Florida, but their weather's not as good as ours. Thank you very much.
It's my understanding that the valleys were going to get up around 90-ish today in February.
Right.
And it totally did. That's what it said on my thermometer.
That's my point. So if you have to be somewhere in the winter, California is not a bad place to be. Yes, in spite of all the warts and all the other problems that we may have to deal with, if we're going to pay for the weather, at least let us get our money's worth. And we're definitely getting our money's worth now. Yeah, we'll get some rain next week, but we can always use some rain. And you're saying like maybe through Wednesday? Okay, I'll accept that. I'll accept that. If I had a convertible, I'd put the top down right about now.
Is it normal? You've lived here your whole life. I haven't. Is it normal for it to be 90 in February?
On occasion, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. It's not, every single winter, but it doesn't strike me as strange.
So, just to Mark's point, because I know definitely Mo has experienced this. Did you ever have, Mark, did you ever have a day on Christmas where it was like 80?
Where? What? Like Seattle?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what I meant.
Seattle's pretty mild, but the climate's definitely changing. When I first moved there, nobody owned cars with air conditioners, but that's all changed now, and I could go down the laundry list. So it's not the same now as it was 10, 20, 30 years ago.
It's actually surprising if it's not at least 75 on Christmas out here.
I was going to say that's like the standard here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is what I enjoy most about living in California. And I've lived here my whole life. I had opportunities to live elsewhere, but I wouldn't, especially at this age, I wouldn't move to a colder area of the United States. You couldn't pay me enough money to move to New York.
You going to start walking around in a cardigan in the summer while you're at it?
Possibly. I can do it because California summers are still mild.
Okay.
But that's why, we always talk about, how horrible it is in California. No, not really. Not really. It's expensive, no doubt. But then today reminds you of some of that reason for those expenditures. Why, real estate is about location. California is a lot better than other places. Most places do suck compared to California.
Oh, no. If I'm going to live in a place where I can't afford a house, I'd like to live in this city where I can't afford a house.
But there are some downsides, now that measles is here. That's right. I tried to tell you, Tuwala, didn't I try to tell them?
You told them.
And now there's a child, we'll tell you about next segment, who came into LAX, of all places, LAX, unvaccinated, measles, and now there's no telling where it could go because the incubation period could be like up to 21 days. And that's saying nothing. Now we have a confirmed death of measles in Texas, going back to my speech about the communicable nature of measles, how dangerous it can be for children and the elderly. And Tuwala says he got some hate mail about that directed to me. Maybe it was people that I'd already blocked, but I'm not making this up. It's a serious thing, and we're going to have another serious conversation about it. And coyotes, they're very territorial, but not in the way that you may think. They like to live in the hood, it seems. They don't want the wealthy suburbs. They just want to hang around the hood. Just my luck, because they're like 3 running through my backyard every damn night. It's not funny, Stefan.
It is, though.
I was not making a joke. I was making an observation, a truthful one. Just laughing at me. And the nice exercise lady is back, Claudine Cooper. She's going to join us in studio and talk to us about how colonoscopies can be helpful, or colon health more general, can be helped with more and more exercise.
Are you going to get one live in the studio?
No.
'Cause that would be some good radio.
Not really. I did talk about mine prior to and post.
You sure did.
You are getting up in age, so it might be that time for you.
Well, you're not doing it, just so you know.
I have expressed no desire to participate.
I just want to put all the cards on the table.
So what are you getting yours, Mark?
I'm getting nagged about that at home, too. Everybody is really a little too focused on my ass lately, and I just like to move forward.
This is just your internal health. It's not your ass.
Well, so you don't move forward, you got to back it up.
Thank you. Give yourself a rim shot, Fooch.
A rim shot.
But to be serious, as they say, the prep is the worst part, unless you wake up during the procedure. And that was just my experience.
You did.
It was, 1 in 100, they say, but don't let my experience dissuade you.
It's done exactly that, in fact.
No, Mark. Best nap you will ever have in your life. You will be like, can I get another after that nap?
I think not. I mean, I don't.
You don't wake up sore. What are you talking about? Why are you avoiding this?
There's a plus.
No. But that is funny, but it's actually accurate. It's not like you feel something in that way after you wake up.
How's your sleep right now?
Not great.
Well,
but it's never been great. And it's not because of not being probed like I'm aboard a UFO.
You're not awake for the probing? Wait, what?
What?
you're going to knock out before that.
Yeah.
There must be other things we can talk about.
We can, but
Look
this
at
is
his
very important.
squirming
Men's
in his
health.
chair.
Men's health is very important.
All right.
And
true.
we want you to live to be 173.
This has been a very touching and heartwarming colon intervention by the 3 of you. Now let's move on.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Your app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And clearly, America wants to give measles a chance. As the kids say, let them live. Trying to let measles live. There was a child who was sickened with measles, described as an infant, traveled to L.A. via LAX, and then on to Orange County, according to public health agencies in both L.A. County and Orange County. The affected traveler arrived at LAX on February 19th on Korean Air. They even list the flight. Anyone who is at Terminal B of LAX on February 19th between 1 and 4 p.m. may be at risk of contracting measles due to exposure. Passengers who were exposed on the flight were notified by public health officials directly. And this is something that we've been talking about. We don't really take diseases seriously anymore. The measles vaccine was invented in 1963. I'm quite sure it's been improved upon in the years since, and measles had largely been eradicated in the United States, thanks specifically to the vaccine. Measles is so contagious that 9 out of 10 unvaccinated people who come in contact with each other, you remember the stats, or maybe you don't remember, but I told you the stats of 9 and 10 are most likely going to contract measles if you're unvaccinated. And if you think that it's not deadly, well, a child just died in Texas because of measles. A person who was hospitalized with measles has died in West Texas. This is the first death in this outbreak, which began last month. Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center spokesperson Melissa Whitfield confirmed the death today. It wasn't clear the age of the patient, but the child died overnight. We do know it's a child. And the measles outbreak in rural West Texas has grown to 124 cases across 9 counties. 9 counties, the state health department said. And there are also 9 cases in eastern New Mexico. And I said that, and I'll say it again. These are only the known cases. We don't know who else has been exposed. We don't know who's asymptomatic or who is symptomatic because it has an incubation period of up to 21 days. I don't even know where I was 21 days ago. Being serious. It's the 26th today. I don't know where I was on the 5th of February or who I came in contact with. And that is probably true of most people. And so something like this can get out of control very quickly. And to revisit, measles is a respiratory virus that can survive in the air for up to 2 hours, and up to 9 out of 10 people who are susceptible, as in unvaccinated, will get the virus if exposed. I'm going to say it again. Up to 9 out of 10 people who are susceptible will get the virus if exposed. Most kids will recover, but infection can lead to dangerous complications like pneumonia, blindness, brain swelling, and in this case, death.
Now, for the facts of this story, a child, an infant, unvaccinated, came in to Southern California by way of LAX. That means this child was on a plane.
Right.
A tube of recycled air.
Correct.
For an entire flight. I don't care where you came. I don't care if you came from Vegas.
Correct.
An entire flight came to LAX, passed that measles back to everyone on the plane. So it's not just the infant, because of the fact that everyone's breathing that air. You may be vaccinated, but can you not give that or pass that on?
It exists in the air for up to 2 hours. I don't know if someone can carry it as a vaccinated person and then pass it on to someone who's unvaccinated. I honestly don't know.
These are just the things I wonder, because this scared me, because I said to myself, God, if this was a flight from Vegas, you know, however long this child was on this flight, it was more than a 2-hour period inside of a sealed tube.
No. It was on a Korean air flight. So it was from Korea, most likely, or somewhere in Asia. And I've flown Korea Air. It's a 12-hour flight.
That's a 12-hour flight. So let's just say the last 2 hours of that flight, everyone that baby coughed on, cried near, they thought. So you get off, You go and get into an Uber. Foosh has it now.
No, I've been in that terminal. There are hundreds and hundreds of people in a given day in the international terminal.
Kids?
Of course.
Oh.
Of course. So if this child were to pass anyone who was unvaccinated for measles, according to the science, there's a 9 in 10 chance that those individuals will also contract measles. 9 in 10.
I'm not fear-mongering. I'm just curious about why the potentiality of this spreading in a state where now we are very anti-vax. Our liberal mindedness has made us very anti-vax. And so trust me, I work in schools. I work in the school system. I know about all of the parents and all the people who said they signed waivers to not have their child vaxxed because they don't believe in vaccinations, this, that, and the other. I've seen it. So I'm just curious now, what happens if we have like a Texas outbreak in California?
If we have one confirmed case in a school, it will shut down the school. We know that. It'll be for an inordinate amount of time because it has to be at least shut down beyond the incubation period to know that no one else has actually contracted the disease. I have a question of, we know the child was unvaccinated and got the disease. We don't know the status of the parent or parents. It's not unbelievable to think that both the child and parent were unvaccinated and also susceptible, also carriers, and also spreaders, because that's how kind of airborne diseases, how they work. This is going to get worse before it gets better because we've let our politics infect, if you will, our good sense. More people are going to die. More children are going to die. And I don't say that to pat myself on the back, but I am going to say, I told you so. I told you that this was going to happen. And the child who died in Texas, I don't know anything about the child. I just do know that it was 100% avoidable. No child, or anybody for that matter, has to die from measles. There is a literal cure, or I should say a vaccine, preemptive cure, if you will, to prevent contracting measles. No one has to die from measles at all. In fact, we haven't had a death from measles in more than a decade.
I think it was considered eradicated a full quarter century ago, in fact.
Yeah. I think by like
in 2000.
2000. Mm-hmm. Now it's 2025, and we have a multi-state outbreak.
Disinformation kills. You sometimes might wonder why I get so bent out of shape about disinformation going out over the public's airwaves. It's exactly for reasons like this.
And we're going to have to report on this again because there are going to be more people infected in Texas, in Southern California, most likely, given what we know about the spread of measles. Hopefully, there won't be any more deaths. Hopefully. But I can't guarantee that because we live in a time in where people are choosing not to vaccinate their kids. And this is something that we will have earned. We will have chosen this. It's not something that is just happening to us because it's bad luck or twist of fate. This is avoidable. This is preventable. And we're choosing instead to endanger our children, your children, Tuala's children, my children. And that's not even including the elderly. It's Later with Mo Kelly, KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And we have a Coyotes update. And this is important because if you have small children or if you have small pets, depending on where you live, they could be in danger because of these coyotes. And now there's more information out as to why they choose to live in certain neighborhoods.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
And I've told you about my dislike, disgust, and disdain for coyotes. They run rampant through my neighborhood, and I'm a little bit outside of Inglewood. And you will see them at night, definitely. You'll see them on my security cameras. I've shown them, like to Tuala, running 2 and 3 at a time. Every once in a while, you'll see them in the daytime. They are not necessarily nocturnal. They're not afraid as people may think of people. They're definitely not domesticated, but they're not afraid of people either. And I said, I will gladly run down some coyotes. Gladly. because they are a threat to my fur babies and they're a threat to small children. No doubt. There are times, and I know, Tuala, you've probably heard it, you can hear them when they've attacked animals and pets and the fight, the yipping sound they make when they're successful and all that kind of stuff.
It's blood curdling. The sound of an animal dying at the hands of a pack of coyotes. It's horrible.
It's real. It's real. But there's this new study which found that coyotes, as far as their choices, were less inclined to seek out higher income areas within their roaming ranges and preferring to stick to less wealthy parts. There are some reasons for it. It's not that coyotes are aware of zip codes, but there's a difference in behavior of people who live within certain zip codes and different viewpoints surrounding coyotes within zip codes. According to this study, people in affluent neighborhoods have shown heightened support for killing coyotes, which is and it's more common in wealthy areas. So the wealthier areas tend to be less tolerant of coyotes, and they're more willing to pay for coyote traps. They're more hostile to coyotes, and coyotes tend to stay away. Conversely, according to the study, coyotes in lesser affluent neighborhoods find that the surrounding, I'll say, area is more tolerant. I know in my neighborhood, people look at coyotes like, oh, they're so cute, like they're pets or something. And there are people who actually feed them. And also in less affluent communities, and this is something this is not in the study, I can see this visually. You have more of a concentration of trash. It could be homeless people. And there's a food source more readily available for coyotes as opposed to the affluent areas. Affluent areas are going to be much better taken care of. So you don't have that standing food source or a tolerance of coyotes that they would in my neighborhood.
See, I don't know if I like this. I don't like.
I'm just reading what the study says.
I know, but the study is painting a very, very odd picture to me, that coyotes they dig living in the hood because it's like the hood is just, who cares in the hood? Let the coyotes roam?
Well, that's part of it.
You and I are very much hood adjacent. We're not down with the coyotes.
But I think we are the exceptions which prove the rule, because I know I can get onto the Facebook group of Eye of Inglewood, where you have mostly Inglewood residents commenting about what is going on in Inglewood. And most of them are relatively okay with coyotes. They're more amazed by them, but they're not trying to say, let's get rid of them. They're just sort of like, hey, you should just leave them alone. If you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone. Let the animals live. It's like, no.
And see, in Altadena, it is actually what you see on the neighborhood chats more often than not, the more affluent areas in Altadena where people recognize that they've built homes into the natural habitat of these coyotes, that they're saying, oh, it's our fault. We've built homes into their nesting areas. We must take care of the coyotes. That's why I feed, because they're defending their feeding them of the coyotes.
Yeah, well, whatever they're doing, they will stay where they're wanted and tolerated. And unfortunately, in my neighborhood, they're tolerated in ways which I think is dangerous. It is not something that I would do. But going back to the story, another study cited from 2023 analyzing a decade of coyote reports in San Francisco found that higher median income was correlated with negative opinions of coyotes. In other words, the higher income folks were willing to pay for trapping, and that's expensive. My housing development has tried to pay for it, and they won't pay it for any length of time. They'll do it for like a week, get rid of the coyotes which happen to be there, and then the coyotes will be back in 2 months. It's another den.
See, that's what I'm saying. I don't like this article because this article is clearly pointing out that individuals in more affluent neighborhoods have the financial whereabouts to trap and remove coyotes and oftentimes relocate them to the hills and areas where they can thrive. While in our neighborhoods, we are shunned and we are not allowed to kill the coyotes. They tell us, in fact, you cannot kill these coyotes.
We'll put
call SPCA.
That's true. I know that you will not see a pack of coyotes walking through Beverly Hills neighborhoods. You won't. Neighborhoods are not going to tolerate that. Not. Now, you see a pack of coyotes, a den of coyotes walking through Inglewood. Are they going to allow that? You bet your ass they're going to allow that. You can call animal services, but that's not going to do anything. There are just too many of them. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had animal services come out and try to trap the coyotes, and then 2 more come the next week. They are that plentiful in my neighborhood. They come by my house every single night. Have video of them on the Ring device every single night. Part of it is they probably smell either our dogs or the dog poo in the backyard. They know that there are dogs in that particular vicinity. They just don't know how to get to them.
Yeah, they're hunting.
Because we have a very, very high gate. You see the fence in the backyard. It's too high for them to jump.
Yeah, they have to be committed. They have to how hungry am I?
Right. And it's like 10 feet high. They're not jumping that high. But they're everywhere, and there's nothing we can do about it. We've called, and we can't kill them legally. But if it comes down to the coyote or my dogs, the coyote's going down. I'm going to run them over. I'll poison them. It doesn't matter. And I have no problem saying that on the radio because I mean it. If you're going to come get me for protecting my dogs, so be it. But I understand why the coyotes hang around because there is really no deterrent. There's nothing pointing to them that it's dangerous for them, that they shouldn't come around. Because as far as they're concerned, they're probably the apex predator. No one is messing with them. No one's bothering them. No one's hunting them. No one's shooting them. At best, every 2 or 3 months, they may try to relocate them, but there's no reason for them to be afraid. And there's always a standing food source somewhere. And I think that's part of the reason why we see them in the daytime, because they can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this makes sense to me because they're not tolerating this in Bel Air. They're not tolerating this in Newport Beach. I don't think there's a coyote in Newport Beach. I might be wrong, but I don't think there is. And if there were, I'm quite sure it's not going to last for long. Someone's going to remove it. Someone's going to shoot it, but they're not going to feed it. It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640 live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Mark, any coyotes in your neighborhood?
In fact, there are. They walk around like they own the place. There are some wily coyotes, in fact. But recently I was sitting up late at night and I heard these blood-curdling animal shrieks. And I look out the window, and right in front of my place, there are what look like 2 coyotes nipping and tormenting and apparently trying to kill what I couldn't tell if it was a small dog or a smaller coyote or something, but it was just awful, and you could hear it through the whole neighborhood. So, of course, I run out there in my sweats and a broom thinking that I'm going to break this up, but they were already way, way down the block and away by the time I got out there. But that's disturbing.
Yeah. I don't need to ask Stephen because we're basically in the same neighborhood, and I know he's seen them. I know they're everywhere.
It's a trip to see signs that say be alert for coyotes, because I used to think of that as just only out here in the valley. But over there in the Inglewood area, I'm like, really?
Yeah, this is very urban. Okay, it's not like you're up against a hillside or something.
I feel like they're getting bolder. Another night, a coyote was howling in front of the house, and I go out, and it was like it was trying to lead me someplace, like it had babies that were in trouble someplace. Every time I turned around to leave, it tried to get my attention to get me to follow it. I mean, it could have been planning to eat me with some of its friends, but they are getting more bold. I've noticed that.
Kind of like you.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
More bold.
Far more bold.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Ooh, Later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
We're live and everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And before the break, we were talking about the study, actually multiple studies in which coyotes had a preference for areas in which they lived, and it seemed to correspond with the level of affluency. The wealthier the neighborhood, the less inclined coyotes were to stay there. I looked at it as a simple expression of, well, there's probably a larger food source in the less affluent neighborhood because trash is not picked up as frequently. You have a larger homelessness population. There are probably places for coyotes to eat, and also less affluent populations, they're more accepting. And this is anecdotal, but I'm seeing it more accepting of coyotes, where you see people feeding coyotes. You see people tolerating coyotes. And to Mark Ronner's point, they are much more bold now than in years past. And it's something that is observable. You can go through my neighborhood and you should not be surprised if you see a coyote running the street in broad daylight, especially, and I've noticed this on trash days, because they know those are the food sources and kind of when it's going to be available to them.
There's plenty in this neighborhood too. Have you ever left the office at night and seen him just standing there staring you down outside the front door?
I've only seen one, and it was running across the street, Olive. It's like going to Whole Foods or something, because that's where it was running.
Well, there's a large vacant lot across the street from Whole Foods, and it's got some brush, and I think maybe some of them live there. I don't know. It makes sense, though, that they would.
It would make sense. I'm just saying I've only seen one. Tawala's seen more than I have.
Yeah, Tawala, when he sent us that picture that he saw like two of them just standing outside waiting, and I was like, that's crazy. And then I left one night, and there was one that was where that little statue thing is, and the minute I opened the door, it just took off. But I was just like, wow, they actually do come up right next to the door.
But it's at night, though.
Yep.
I haven't seen it in the daytime in this neighborhood, and I would tend to think of Burbank is a little more well-to-do than other areas. So I'm actually more surprised to see them here than when I'm driving home. I expect to see one every single day in my neighborhood.
I bet there's some food waste, though, especially since we're close to a Whole Foods and some restaurants.
Maybe.
And they're scavengers, so that explains their presence here. But they're very bold around here. The ones that I've seen in this neighborhood when I'm leaving work at night, they do not scurry off.
No.
They'll stand there and play chicken with you.
They don't view us as a threat for whatever reasons. Not that they should think that we're going to just pull out a gun and shoot them, but they don't think as if they need to turn tail just because they see us.
No, these things are full werewolf size. They're not afraid of us.
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, they're seeing, like, can I take them? They're just sizing you up. Looking at it, it's like, well, that would be a big dinner, but I don't know if I could take them. You can see the wheels turning in their head. They're considering it.
Yeah, now that I think of it, going outside with a broom and hoping to practice some broom foo on the coyotes, I'm lucky that they didn't kill me and just tear me to pieces.
Well, we have different nightsticks around our house in the event that a coyote should come around or try to jump the fence. You know, there are certain things which are placed that can be used immediately as a weapon to fight them off if need be.
Really? Like, what do you got?
Like I said, nightsticks.
Just sticks.
Well, there's some.
I want a flamethrower now. I want some serious artillery against these things.
No, look, I've considered some other things, but I'm not going to say them on the radio. So I'm just going to leave it to nightsticks because they wouldn't be considered legal when I'm considering.
Well, that's intriguing.
Oh yeah, no, they need to die.
Okay.
After this break, I'm going to come into the news booth and show you some of the videos. They are ubiquitous. They are everywhere. And the last thing I want, since they're getting more and more bold, is the prospect of them possibly finding a way to come around like to the front of my house and then jump over the fence. And I want them to keep a degree of fear from my house.
I'm going to start carrying around a lit cigar and an aerosol can of hairspray or something every place I go for the improvised James Bond flamethrower.
The only problem with that is that would probably set something on fire behind my house. We have a kind of an open field area, which part of the reason why they roam back there. but it's not. It's one of those. There's enough brush where I don't want to accidentally burn down the neighborhood.
Yeah, starting another wildfire is in the negative column at this point.
Yeah,
we do not want that.
It would not be good news at all. But this is something that is really serious for me, and it's something I think about daily. It's something that we talk about being involved in a civic sense, going to city council meetings or going to LA County Board of Supervisor meetings. This is something that I have been in constant communication with my LA County Board of Supervisor and also county facility services to do more about. Can't get them to do anything.
You think they should cough up some dough to hire a coyote mercenary to roam the neighborhood?
They need to do something because they are dangerous to small pets and children.
Oh, they'll just take your dog right out of the yard if it's a smaller dog.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't want to wait until that happens and then it's too late and then the county wants to turn around and finally do something. This is something that should have been done a long time ago. It's the way that what we've been over backwards to protect coyotes is confounding to me. Confounding. We're not. It's not like we're trying to conserve nature, or animals. Like, they're dangerous animals. They're legitimately dangerous. And I know Sierra Madre deals with bears, and different places deal with mountain lions, but they're dangerous. And I'm not going to wait for something to happen to one of my pets before something's going to be done.
They're not even that cute.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my dogs. They're very cute.
I'll have to take your word for that.
You've been invited to my house.
Oh, don't even start.
But your ass never comes over.
I can't even.
And I'm beginning to think it's racial now.
How could it be since I'm half black? Let's go to break.
You'd be surprised. I'll tell you some stories about some folks I know.
Okay.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
Ignorance is bliss. We have zero bliss. Completely blissless.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.